no matter what happens in football, it always becomes the top story, Harry.
Pretty much.
Especially when you got a big situation like what's happened over the last 24 hours where Cam Newton is signed by the Carolina Panthers. Most of the Carolina
Patriots.
Panthers, formerly of the Patriots, of the Panthers. He signs with the Patriots.
Right.
And immediately they had the Superman shirts and the jerseys with Cam Newton up there in a Patriots jersey.
Well, I heard Dan Patrick has a shirt already available, and the slogan is brilliant.
It is brilliant.
Cam Chowder.
Cam Chowder.
Cam Chowder.
Nothing like millionaires finding ways to make more money quickly.
Exactly.
While we're here schlepping trying to sell a couple of shirts. God bless Dan Patrick. That's why he's a millionaire, and that's why I'm schlepping in my basement. But David Newton, no relation to Cam Newton. No relation to Juice Newton, remember?
Oh, yeah, the singer.
Or Fig Newtons. But he is in Carolina, where Cam Newton used to be, and he's ESPN's Carolina Panther beat writer. David, how are you? Thanks for coming on the show, man.
Glad to be here. I guess I'm the last standing Newton in Carolina, but I can't figure this thing out. I mean, is Bill Belichick going to wear like one of Cam's signature hats, or is Cam just going to go back to wearing hoodies again?
That's a good question. You should know the answer. I mean, any way you're related to, because there's a lot of Newton. There's Isaac Newton.
Right.
Have you done a genealogy?
I'm just going to say Isaac. Let's just go with that and leave it. We don't have to look at all the others. I think Isaac's going to be good for me. But right now I feel like I got hit by an apple in the head or something. I don't know where I am on all this. But anyway, it's crazy that Cam's going to be there. I think it makes a lot of sense for the Patriots. I like what he could do there. Gives them that threat that they haven't had, that Bill Belichick has had trouble with, actually, because I think Cam's, 2-0 against him. So it's going to be fun to watch, and it's going to be interesting to see how Cam adjusts to Belichick's style and the Patriot way, because in Carolina it was all pretty much Cam's way.
Now, David, nobody was surprised, and as you mentioned, we all knew, you knew the day that his season ended there in Carolina, that was probably the appropriate destination. As soon as we found out Tom Brady was leaving, was there any doubt in your mind or anybody in the entire Carolinas, both Carolinas, North and South Carolina, and the entire NFL, that's where he was going to wind up?
I was not sure. I thought at this point, now they'd gone on this long, that maybe he was not going to land anywhere until the season was going and somebody had an injury at quarterback, and then they maybe brought him in. I just thought if the Patriots were going to do it, they were going to probably do it earlier. I guess the coincidence of the fact they got this announcement out just right before the NFL said that they were going to lose a third-round draft pick was kind of interesting to watch. But, it makes sense. But I thought the Chargers early on made a lot of sense as well, because I thought Cam could have gone there and been a good threat for them and a good kind of a gap at quarterback for them. But that didn't happen. So I just thought nothing was going to happen for a while. I thought it was going to remain quiet. So it's going to be fun to watch this. I kind of wish I was up there to watch it firsthand, because it's never a dull moment around Cam Newton.
Yeah, it's definitely going to make the Patriots or maintain them as an interesting franchise, even though they lose Tom Brady. But, David, given the accumulation of all the injuries and the surgeries that Cam has undergone the last couple of years, what kind of Cam Newton do you think they're getting?
I mean, if you look at the videos and what he's able to do, everything he's posting, it looks like he's as healthy as he's been in several years. I mean, you go all the way back to the first half of the 2018 season. They were 6-2, and I thought he was playing the best football of his career, better than his 2015 NFL MVP year. So if he can get back to that, I mean, they've got an unbelievable bargain out of this. But I just don't know, and I think that's kind of the uncertainty the Panthers had. And a lot of the uncertainty the Panthers had wasn't just around the injuries, because if he goes out there and proves himself, then he's going to demand a really big deal after this. And the Panthers are in a rebuilding mode, so they didn't want to have to commit to that type of long-term for a quarterback. And I think they got a pretty good deal with Teddy Bridgewater. But if Cam can go out there and be any part of what he was that first half of that 2018 season, I mean, if Belichick he can get that system going and he can kind of let Cam do some of the things he does with his legs. Cam said he's never going to change that. I think he could be very productive, but he's going to need to get some more weapons around him. I mean, I think it's proven he can't do it alone. I mean, these last couple of years he played, even when he was playing well, especially in 2018, he had Christian McCaffrey that he really leaned on heavily.
Yeah, and you look at the Carolina franchise now, new coach. The coach is gone. The starting quarterback is gone. A lot of changes. And, of course, the coach is well known around these parts. So what's the mood down there in Carolina? Obviously, Teddy Bridgewater, everybody loves him. What's the expectations now for the Carolina Panthers?
A lot of people are ticked off that now that the Boston area has got Kimball Walker and Cam Newton, because they've just pretty much robbed the Charlotte area of its stars in the NBA and NFL. So I guess the mood is kind of nobody knows what to expect. I think the pandemic's really put another twist to that because we haven't seen him on the field. We don't really know what Joe Brady, their offensive coordinator, can actually do. And Matt Rule was saying last week, he said, I don't even know what or how good Joe Brady is calling plays until we get into the season because we just haven't had any experience, and he's had no experience of doing that. I mean, they really kind of took a flyer on him in a lot of ways, even though he did a great job with what he did at LSU last year. So a lot of, I guess, cautious optimism here. I think they've got the weapons offensively if Bridgewater plays up to what they think he can. I think they've got potential to be a pretty good offense. I think they can play with a lot of teams. When you got Christian McCaffrey and then you got DJ Moore, they really like Curtis Samuel, and they brought in some other players. So they've got some talent there. They've got to shore up their offensive line, but defensively it's going to be a real struggle. Losing Luke Kuechly to an early retirement, that was a big blow to this defense. It's going to take them a while to recover. So if they can get this 6-7 wins, I think it'd be a good season for them right now.
Yes, Dave, and of course, Matt Rule, he went all defense in the draft. So I guess he was content with the offense, knowing that he wasn't going to have Cam Newton, knowing that he has Teddy Bridgewater. So they loaded up on defense. How difficult will that be to get these guys practicing as a unit with all these new faces on the defensive side?
Well, I think the good part is they've got some players in there that got some experience in the system, and they really responded well during the virtual off season. So just getting that physicality back is what really got to be the big challenge, I guess, once they get into camp. But they've got some good players. Shaq Thompson, and they re-signed, that played outside linebacker. He's a quality player. They're getting K'Wan Short, who's a Pro Bowl defensive tackle in there. He missed all of last season, recovering from shoulder injury. So you get him back in there, and you put him next to their first-round draft pick, Derek Brown. I think in the middle of that defense, they could be really, really strong. They got another first-round pick from the year before, and Brian Burns that can be a speed rusher on the outside. So they've got the pieces defensively. I just think it's going to take probably a year or two to get it to the level that they were used to playing at a lot of the time in the previous years. Because when they were winning, even the 2015 season, as well as Cam Newton played, that defense was pretty good too.
I want to get it back to Cam Newton here for a second, David. Again, how would you first of all describe his leadership style, and do you see him as a guy that's going to be down with sort of conforming to the Patriot way?
I think that's the big question. The thing about Cam is his leadership really grew from his first couple of years, where you saw the pictures or images of him on the sideline sulking with the towel over his head when they were losing, because Cam hates to lose. But he really turned a corner there somewhere around the second or third year and became probably the strongest leader in that locker room. And people that believe, Greg Olsen will go to his deathbed and just swear that he's a great leader. And Greg Olsen had his best years because of Cam Newton. And a lot of great players. Well, I think it's going to be an interesting mix there, but Cam wants to win, and Cam wants to prove himself. So I think he's willing to do just about anything he has to prove that. So if that means he's got to back off, tone down a little bit, I think he will have to tone down. I just don't know if Belichick's going to be up for some of the antics or even the wild outfits you see after games. So that'll be interesting to watch. And I thought that was one of the reasons the Panthers moved on from him. It wasn't just his health, but Cam Newton, just being Cam Newton, demands a lot of attention on Cam Newton. And when you're trying to build a team like Rule is, where it's more team-oriented, not just individual-oriented, I think they felt that they could do that better with Teddy Bridgewater, who is just, as Matt Rule was saying last week, just kind of one of the guys. He's the guy that rides his bike to the stadium and stops and talks to people and just has regular conversation. When Cam's in a room, it's like, I go to one of his events last year. like the Pied Piper, everybody kind of follows and just drawn to him. So that's going to be the interesting mix to me.
Now, will he be doing the Superman, or will he be doing the Patriot thing, wearing the garbs of the Patriots from back in the day? Or is that's not acceptable right now? They're throwing statues in the river up there. They're taking down statues all over Boston.
Has the Revolutionary War been canceled?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know whether he can go with that look.
Yeah, I don't know.
Up in New England.
I think Cam will stick to doing what Cam does. He's the Superman at celebration, giving the football to kids in the stands. That's always kind of been the thing that just kind of made him kind of a magnet to fans in a lot of ways. So I think he'll continue doing a lot of those things. And again, the football giveaways to the kids after touchdown, to me, was one of the greatest things Cam Newton did.
Yeah, and luckily the NFL got away from punishing guys for giving football. Remember, you weren't allowed to throw a football in the stands, so at least they had allowed players to have more fun the last couple of years.
Yeah, and Cam loves to have fun, so you'll see him dancing and singing, and no telling what you'll see. I mean, he's letting his hair grown out long, like a lot of us have. I think I'm back to my 70s look right now with my longer hair with all the pandemic stuff going on. So I think you see Cam trying to be himself. I don't know if you sign a player like Cam Newton and try to fit basically what square peg in a round hole. So I think they've got to let him be him to a large degree, because when Cam's having fun, which means usually winning too, he can be as dynamic as any player in this league. And again, the question is, how long does his body hold up? That year they were 6-2. 2 years ago, his shoulder went out, and it got to the point where he admitted after the season he could barely throw the ball 25 or 30 yards. So that really put a dent into what they could do offensively, and it ultimately led to him being shut down the last 2 games. And the foot looks like it's good, but again, they thought it was good early last year. And, after 2 games, he was shut down for the rest of the season. So all the hits he's taken, way more than any quarterback in the league since 2011. There's a lot of stress put on that body. So how he holds up is going to be interesting. But just looking at the videos, you've probably seen them all, and everything he's doing and working, he looks like he's in the best shape I've ever seen him.
Yeah, he mentioned his numbers from 2011 to 2018. 3,000-plus yards every year passing, 350 rushing yards each year or over. I mean, the guy's an unbelievable. 182 touchdowns, 108 interceptions, and 58 rushing touchdowns. I mean, he's the ultimate weapon. We used to call Randall Cunningham the ultimate weapon when he was here in Philly years ago. He's not as big, and Randall wasn't as big as Cam Newton. But Cam Newton, he takes the punishment too, but he delivers the punishment. And I think, just like Carson Wentz, people are worried about quarterbacks who deliver the punishment and get hurt. And I think, you look at Carson and Cam Newton in that same vein, guys who've been around. Cam's a little older, but when they're around this long, you're taking that kind of punishment.
He should have gotten more calls over the years, too.
Absolutely.
Cam Newton.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the Super Bowl, and even the first game after the Super Bowl, and the start of the next year against Denver, he was getting hit late, or, there's a lot of illegal hits. I mean, Cam kind of went out and kind of took a stance against that for a while, and even talked to the commissioner about it. And you were hoping that was going to back it off. But I thought he really, because of what he did, and I think he got really, backed out to the point people just weren't respecting, him as a quarterback. And from the standpoint, they were going to hit him regardless. So he became a target for the league. And I think that really was one of those situations that had a little negative effect on him, because you could tell it had a negative effect on his career for a while. But I think under Norv Turner, especially about his 2018 season, and Norv came in and put in more of a pro-style offense where he didn't have Cam run as much. And Cam really adapted, and he was having his best year in terms of completion percentage and just getting rid of the ball and doing the things that a lot of just pocket passers do. And again, I think if they can give that and let him run just a little bit, they'll have a pretty special quarterback there.
Yeah, and the good thing is with Bill Belichick, he won't be able to run out onto the field, I guess, because of COVID. But the question is, when he sees Cam Newton taking illegal shots, he's not going to stand for it. You know that the NFL is going to be looking at him, and he's going to be saying to these officials, hey, come on, guys, you let this guy take a beating in Carolina. We're not going to allow that. We're not going to tolerate this crap up here.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like I was just Dean Smith stares or the Krzyzewski stares you get in college basketball around these parts now. When those guys give that kind of stare to the officials, they seem to listen more than, the guys that are well known. And I think, probably, if Belichick's out there, if he gets the attention of the league on Cam taking some hits he shouldn't be taking, I think that'll probably hold, a little more weight than maybe even what Ron Rivera was able to get out of it.
Good stuff, David Newton. He's down there in Carolina, ready for football to start, except a lot of players are saying, I don't know if we're going to. Last question. Do you think, David, that there will be a 16-game season and we will start on time and there will be fans in the stands in every facility in the National Football League?
I'm really skeptical. I mean, the Panthers haven't moved back, and their coaches have not moved back in their facility. The rookies are scheduled to come in on the 21st of July, but North Carolina is still in phase 2. Their governor just last week, they were going to extend phase 2 another 2 or so weeks. So I just don't know how it's going to happen. I just think there's so many obstacles out there they've got to overcome. And if you look at the numbers across the country right now with the cases rising, the positive tests rising, hospitalization, it's a tough sell for me. I know the league's got a lot of power and they want to get going, but to me to think this thing's going to happen like July 21st or whatever in July, that seems like a stretch to me. I could see them reducing it to like a 12 to 14 game schedule. Maybe just 12 would be plenty for me, and try to move these things back. I can't see them playing more than a couple preseason games. I know their owner, David Tepper, here said that he thinks, or he said a few months ago, he said, I think I can see us playing with some fans in the stands. I can't even imagine having fans in the stands now.
David Newton giving you the latest lowdown down there in Carolina, where the Panthers have moved on, obviously, from Cam Newton, and now he's up there in New England with the Patriots. David, appreciate your time. Thanks for coming on with us today, man.
Thanks, guys. Be safe.
Thanks, David.
You too. There he is, David Newton, down there in Carolina, Harry.
Yeah. New beginning with Teddy B.
Exactly right. So that's the football news. There's other football news. The interesting stat that I saw today is Lamar Jackson stat. Now, we saw the guy, he was the MVP of the league. The guy's phenomenal, right?
Mm-hmm.
In his NFL
in the regular
career,
season.
in the regular season, well, obviously, he has rushed the football 352 times, Harry, in his career, including the playoffs. So 352 times he takes the football and runs with it on his own. You know how many times he has slid when rushing with the football? Because that's one of the biggest complaints about Carson Wentz and a lot of quarterbacks who don't slide.
Same with Mike Vick back in the day. He didn't want to slide.
They take the hit. They don't want to slide. Some guys can't slide feet first.
Vic always thought he'd tear up his knee or his ankle by sliding.
He would go head first. Carson Wentz has done that. It's gotten hurt. You know how many times Lamar Jackson has slid in 352 rushes in his career, including the playoffs, Harry?
Well, by the way you're setting this up, I'm going to say the number's got to be low, so I'll say 3.
No, it's not 4 either. It is 2.
2.
Lamar Jackson has slid 2 times.
That's it?
In 356 rushes in his young career in the NFL.
He's good at getting out of bounds.
He really is.
Yeah.
And so that's what you talk about. Can he get out of bounds? He knows how to get out of bounds. But sooner or later, you see these guys, they get hit. Mm-hmm. And these players hit hard. And, and I hope he doesn't get hurt. But this guy's still early in his career. We saw Michael Vick. We saw Donovan McNabb run around a lot. Mm-hmm. Mobile quarterbacks can get around. That's what's going to be interesting in New England with Cam Newton, because this is the first time that Bill Belichick has a mobile quarterback.
Yeah.
And he talked about how Cam Newton was the toughest guy he always had to face to try to stop him because of his ability to get out of, a busted play and then run with the football or pretend he's running and then throw the football.
Yeah, like David said, Cam was 2-0 against Belichick in his career.
Exactly. Yeah. So they obviously love to have that kind of a weapon in New England now. I mean, Tom Brady was your traditional cigar store Indian.
Oh, yeah. You knew exactly where he was going to be.
Exactly right. And yet he still was able, without a lot of mobility.
He was good at sliding.
Yeah, and he ducked
sliding
under
to
a
the
lot
right and left, not sliding while you're running.
Exactly. He didn't take off and slide. He found a way to duck under coverage, duck under a sack, move around. Even though he was an older quarterback and he never really ran with the football, that's what's remarkable. And he never got hurt.
Well, except the 1 year in the first game against the Chiefs.
But that's it. I'm saying when you talk about all the games he played in New England, all those Super Bowls, all those AFC championship games, the fact that this guy was not hurt more than he was in his career is just a testament to how great he was. I mean, he's a big fella, as we like to say. But he did a great job up in New England. And we'll see what happens up in